Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
I can't not see his thick neck.
Hi, welcome to TFYLP, episode 508. We are live tonight. It is Monday, December 12th. I'm Lucas. I am joined tonight by Catherine.
Hello.
And Phil.
Hello.
And mystery guest.
It's Anna behind the stand. What a surprise.
Oh, wow. There you
no
go.
one's suspected.
Who would have thought?
Listen to that ratchet.
Are you just going to do that the whole show, Phil? Just like the whole
Yeah.
time? It's like, yeah, I'm going to put the
He's going to do the
ratchets-
loud ratchet, and I'm just going to hold a stand in front of my face, and
Next
then
to the,
you two can just deal with it.
And then Catherine's just going to like show off her like third party victory Leo.
I do not have any third party in shot.
In shot. How about with an arm's reach?
Well, you didn't ask that.
Okay.
Apparently,
That's
Ron
funny,
is
Archie.
surprised that
Why
the
did I
show is on time and on Monday. So there you go.
It's been a little bit since we pulled off the Monday show.
Yeah.
You know what, Ron? We appreciate that you're here, whether it's a Monday or a Wednesday. You're always there, so thank you.
Or Thursday, or whenever it may be.
Yeah.
So, but tonight we have a topic that we're very excited about, right?
We've been waiting for it for a year.
Yeah, let's
Well-
say go.
And some of us on the cast are still waiting. I think Christian still hasn't gotten his yet, right?
He hasn't, no.
I can't remember if Peter actually got his delivered or not. I think he was like chasing down the FedEx driver or something.
My FedEx driver just sent me a message that said I had sent for the toy while I was in the bathroom. So, or that I had signed for it, which was great. I was studying. I woke up early so I could catch the truck and make sure to pick it up. And then it was like, oh, this has been signed for by me. Wait, I'm in the bathroom on the toilet. I didn't sign for anything. But luckily I was home, so I just went out and grabbed it real fast.
We had a COVID outbreak in my office last week, so I worked from home for a good chunk. So I was home when it got delivered.
Well, I specifically, after realizing that you had to sign for it, I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to work from home today, because that's how I roll. I'm like, I'm sorry, I have a very important appointment, here today at
I had a
home.
visitor who came to my house from Japan to visit.
I'm getting my furnace resealed or something,
Yes, that's exactly it. So Zaldron says that he wants to know when we start talking about the importance of chairs. So what type of chairs is this? Like the kind that you sit in, or what?
Talking about Deathsaurus
Some
throne.
chairs for Transformers toys, and why it was so important that we got the chair for Haslab Deathsaurus.
All right. As much as the
Promise I
chair
would
we
talk
can
about
mock it,
that, but
it's a cool looking chair, but we also get the stand, and I really like the stand. And if that stand for Deathsaurus is half as good as this stand, that's a cool thing to have.
I like the stand, but I have not been able to set my toy on it in a way that I'm comfortable walking away from it yet. I'm gonna have to keep messing with it, but I was not comfortable with the way I set the ship on it earlier. It felt like something was gonna snap or fall, and I was scared, so I just decided to wear it as a mask.
So far, he's been posing and playing just fine to the point where I don't see the need for the stand.
It's
Yeah.
pretty though, because it's the symbol from the show.
Yeah, it's, I might use it. It's I'm not upset that I have it. I just so far have not found it Andy.
Steve.
It's very vibrant. You got those bright primary red, yellow, and blues, the clear blue, they're plastic, and it looks good.
It screams 80s, 90s Japanese super robot show.
Yes.
Like, it's just a bright, it needs to go by my this era Transformers and Gundams to hang out and be like, hey, I belong. This is the kind of thing.
Well,
I mean, I want to complain about the chairs because guess what? They're not making you pay more for it.
No, I think the chair is super cool. So I thought we would save the chair discussion for later since we're supposed to be talking about Saber. But if we really have to talk about the chair now, I have notes. I have a 16-page diatribe on the importance of chairs.
wow. Oh, so one thing I do want to say about the stand as well is that, like, most of the stands that we've gotten for like masterpiece figures and just other various ones, like I have a couple for 3A figures, and they're just these like basic blah, like black stands, right? Like there's not really a lot to them. Like I really do like the way that they did this, the fact that it was like the translucent clear plastic, like just like the design of it, I think looks really, really neat. And so I'm very happy with like, whatever. Normally I don't care that much about stands, but it definitely looks cool. It was a nice add-in.
I agree with that because the masterpiece stands are kind of ugly. Like I've kind of tried to use a couple of them, but they're really big and just not very aesthetically pleasing, except for Black Arachnia. Black Arachnia has the neat stand with the webs, but the rest of the masterpiece stands have just been so large and so not pretty.
The
I
only
appreciate
MP
the stand. Nice.
The only MP stand I had was with Trax, and I ended up putting him on Skybite, so Skybite could be his flying space shark, and then he fell and broke the.
No. That's so sad.
It just broke like the tip of the stand inside Skybite.
Well, that's too bad.
It is. All right, folks. Well, thanks for joining us for TFYLP tonight, and we'll see you later.
Next week for another episode of Stand Talk.
Yeah.
So
No,
why are we
about-
talking about the chair? Like, I mean, are we surprised that it got to 17,000 so that the stand would actually, or that the
We
chair
were
would get
talking about
included,
the
or
chair because I really liked the chair from the beginning, right?
what?
And then we just started talking about how chairs are actually very helpful because furniture being used by Transformers is very helpful for humanizing them, right? It was something I saw a few of the like Facebook groups and whatnot talking about in the last week or so, just because of how Earthspark was such a nice story because of the way it integrated humans, and in doing so humanized the robots and made them more relatable. And I started talking about how also having things like furniture are depicting the robots eating and drinking, or in some way re-energizing, or where a few times in the IDW comics they show them sleeping on slabs and waking up from dreams. All those little touches kind of help bring them a little closer to us. And in the case of Victory, there really aren't that many human characters. There's basically the one that keeps appearing over and over and over. But they do things like, set in chairs to pilot, and Death Source is in his throne trying to look imposing over his people. And I think it really helps. So like, having that chair for him to do something very person-like, set in his chair and be a king, emperor or whatever, is a nice touch. I think it's important to have those kind of touches.
I agree with the chair was the biggest selling point for Deathsaurus for me at all. I'm not really keen on him. I like my third-party one better, but the chair helped. The chair really pushed it over for me.
So is that what has pushed you over the edge, Anna, to back Deathsaurus yourself?
I have not backed Deathsaurus. I have to decide in the next 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to back Deathsaurus.
No
Our
pressure.
conversation tonight will make the decision for me.
So what if we happen to go so long that it goes over the time of like when you could actually back it?
That's life. I'll just have maybe a toy store send me the MMC one, and I'll probably be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like it seems like this is a good partner to Star Saber, and it seems like it's a lot more animation accurate than the third-party versions. I mean, I think that if you want a more IDW-esque one, go with that. But if you want more of a victory one, I don't know. I think what it has, but obviously it's like somewhat dependent on your collection. I know we had a whole show where we talked about this,
We
but
did. And until the X Transbots one comes out for its very high price, there is not another G1 accurate depth source. Both the depth sources on the market swaying more IDW. So this is your only option for it. And all the pictures, like I'm gonna be completely honest before we talk about Star Saber tonight. When I saw pictures of Star Saber painted and like made up, I was like, ooh, I'm not gonna like that very much. I'm gonna think it's okay and it's gonna be a little rough on me. I don't feel that way for Death Source at all. When I look at that toy, I say, wow, this looks just like the cartoon Death Source. He's intimidating, he's cool, and he's got good colors. And the only thing I don't like about the Death Source in pictures so far is the face, because it's just, they go for the very neutral facial expressions with Hasbro toys, and he's consistent with that. So I think he's pretty safe as a figure, where Star Saber was a little more of a gamble for me.
Well, the thing for me though is I'm almost kind of opposite with that, where I feel like the Desaurus, like the Planet X, and then again, like if you liked it, the stylized figures, but the Planet X Desaurus is a fantastic figure. It's really, really nicely painted. It's really solid, all around. I haven't personally handled the MMC one, but I assume it's very nice as well. And so that's where, in my mind, Star Saber is kind of the opposite to me, where the Planet X one, and I don't know, Catherine, if the Star Saber that you have, if the QC is a little bit better than yours, but the copy I had, I felt like it was very loose, and the Masterpiece Star Saber, like there's very little paint on it. It's all like solid plastic, and I don't know. I never really liked that figure. I didn't think it went well with the rest of the line. It was just kind of its own oddball kind of thing. And now that they've done some other, different figures and in the Masterpiece line, maybe it's not so out of place. It just, felt that way to me however many years ago that it came out.
So go ahead. Talk about Planet X, Catherine. That came first.
I did have the Planet X Star Saber, and I sold it after I pre-ordered this for Haslab, and for me, Haslab was the gamble. But I don't want to go back to the Planet X one in this case. Haslab did a lot better job on Saber, the little inner guy.
I'll agree with that.
He's an amazing deluxe toy. Sorry, Anna, you had something to say?
I was just going to talk about, I think the issue with the Masterpiece Star Saber and why I should have gotten it. So Masterpiece Star Saber came out during grad school for me. So that was a time when I just did not have money to buy toys at all. So by the time I actually started having a reasonable income, it was not easy to get a Masterpiece Star Saber anymore. I think I would like it better because it was simple. It was simple, in the paint apps and the color scheme, because it matched the cartoon. And Victory does not look like other Transformers series, especially Star Saber, right? He is a very Gundam-esque design. Like the color scheme is Gundam, the basic look of him, his weapons, everything about Star Saber is very, very 80s, 90s Gundam looking, and that is really cool to me. And the Haslab one kind of bridge that gap by giving him all the little generations details that make him look more like the other toys, even though he still has his aesthetic. I think it just kind of helped bridge that gap. But I think I would prefer, if I could have the MP now, I would probably trade this for it. I wouldn't want to give up Leo, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of the issue. But I feel like like I don't feel like there's a lot of unnecessary greebles on this figure like some of
It's
the
not
other
bad.
generation figures. Like, I mean, there's plenty of figures where you're like, oh man, like why did they put whatever detail? Like this definitely has a lot more detailing than the masterpiece by far. But I don't think, you know, any of it's necessarily bad or like looks that out of place.
Before we get to Saber, can we talk about the figure we actually funded? The very important, we've been waiting for over a year, the Haslab Victory Holly. Very important. This is what we've been waiting for.
Sure, the main figure.
With the
Go right into the
front.
meat.
Yeah, absolutely. This was it, right? Like, when I got it, I just threw all the other ones in the trash. You haven't seen evidence that I actually have them. I have the stand-in Holly. That's it. The rest are just gone. And this is a real wild toy here. I don't want to transform it because in trying to get it to car mode, the legs came off not one, not two, but about 6 times. That is just par for the course with the Micromasters.
That literally happened to me, Anna, as we were like, talking, and I put them from car mode into robot mode, and like, blop, blop, ball joints just pop. And like,
the legs just go for a little adventure, not on the body.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a bummer. I was just talking to my husband about it because he's watched Victory, and ta-da! I tried to transform her. Here are the legs. Here's the body. Victory, and
just a flesh wound.
Yeah, right. They go right back on, but it's stupid. And Holly is one of the most important characters in the show, right? Like, he gets a lot of screen time. He's always hanging out with the kid character Jan, and he's important. And I think he deserved the Rumble treatment. Like, I think he deserved, make him a remold of an existing Micromaster, sure, but give him a little extra polish, give him an extra joint, make him a little better because he is so important. Fire, not so much, but Holly is. So I was a little bummed.
I'm not sure that the joints helped out those Micromasters. Like as Zeldron said, the ball joints were a bad update for the Micromasters, and I agree. Like,
they were.
I don't know. I almost kind of want bricks for the Micromasters just because they're not that fun to transform. Because, like you said, like they just end up falling apart with the ball joints.
And the transformations on them are so similar to the G1 Micromasters because you can't do that much at that scale.
Yeah,
but
I
Lucas,
remember
if you didn't have ball joints, you couldn't have your Micromasters give you a hug.
Oh, it's true. I remember Lucas and I were just starting Microcasters when the first set of Micromasters came out. So we weren't really sure what we were doing at the time. And we were actually like doing a show from my office and messing with the figures. And it was like my first time seeing them again. It was like, wow, I really wanted these to be better. It was like holding them. It was like, oh, I'm excited. They're little and they're neat. And now they've got more joints. But it's like, their legs come off. That's the new joint. Your joints is leg removal. Shoot.
Yeah, it's been a while since I fiddled with the Micromasters, and in general, I enjoy them. I especially like the big bases you can build with the Titans and all that. But yeah, especially Fire. I mean, I do like the paint job on both of these toys. I think the paint is an upgrade from what we got in the mainline Micromasters toys, but Fire, especially this mold, just doesn't feel right. His ladder pops off all the time on me. It doesn't want to stay on. And just I don't know. It's we already are, I feel like very, very much need an upgrade for what we got from the Micromasters, and this just reinforces that.
Holly's face is Holly, and that's nice. Like, it looks like him. It really does look like a toy of him, which is cool because I would have wanted a toy of him. but I really wish he was just a little cooler. But it's okay. He's here, and he was a stretch goal. And, this is what we've talked about several times is we would like to see figure-based stretch goals. Paul always says, well, it's easy if your toys are dolls, blah, blah, blah. I had to give the Paul for us tonight. But, we always say we want figure stretch goals. So this is what we got when we got figure stretch goals. We got Holy and Fire. And they are forgettable. So forgettable that a lot of people are actually selling theirs, which is funny to see all the people listing them on eBay for $30, $40, trying to get rid of them. I wouldn't get rid of them because Holy is a much more important character than Leo is.
The same thing happened with God Generite too, with that set, where it came with some MicroMasters, and you can make a decent amount of money back from your purchase if you're, decide to sell those off if you don't care about them.
The MicroMasters, the Headmasters.
Oh, I'm thinking of Headmasters. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. Headmasters. But anyway, yeah, the Headmasters with the God Generite set, if I remember correctly, if I remember who came with that.
Was it Minerva and Ghost Shooter?
Yes.
Yeah. It was Minerva and Cab. Because Ghost Shooter came with one of the Legends figures.
That's right. He came with Wheelie.
I think it was Wheelie.
Yeah.
For some reason. Yeah, because I was going to buy them once because that Wheelie had a better paint job and it came with Ghost Shooter, and I was like, ooh, I want that. And then I forgot to buy it. It was at the show once. Back when that would have cost me $20. I was like, that's a little much. But it was not. Anyway, yeah, the MicroMasters they're there. It's nice to get Holy, Fire. I mean, it could have been any other MicroMaster. None of the other ones really mattered. But they are what they are. They use the same molds. They're not great. Whatever.
So before we then dive into the two main parts of the toys, it's a cool box.
I want to mention that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed at how good the box is because it's kind of wasted for me. It's just going to be in a box under the bed or in a closet somewhere. I can't really display a box.
I mean, I guess you could frame it.
The inside of the really cool poster. Saber. Neat. Like, this whole thing is really cool. Like, the outside of it's cool, the inside of it's cool. It's just a really nice piece to have in your collection. Like Catherine said, though, displaying this is almost impossible because, like, if you wanted to display this part of it, even you'd have to flatten it out. You'd have to, like, straighten it out and probably damage it in order to actually get it in a displayable fashion.
So they did give us this, like, cardboard, like, miniature version of that. Doesn't have as much detail, but this is a piece that you could send to Mr. Rick and get him to frame it for you.
So that is a different image, though.
Is it totally different?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's the image
totally
from
you're
the red part of the box. And this is a unique image of its own. So
now, one of the things I will say to be careful of is the slip cover. This part that Anna's showing, it does untab and unfold. But when I pulled my Star Saber out of the box, this slipcover part stayed in the box.
Yep,
and I didn't even know that this existed until I saw some reviewers saying, like, oh, this is neat. And like, what? This is in the box? Okay. So yeah, double check that before you throw out the cardboard box, because this is fun to look at. What I'll say also about Haslab boxes, yeah, if you like your Haslab toys, the boxes are big, and if you ever want to sell them, not like right away, but like say sometime down the road, you might want to sell your Haslab. You probably want to have the box because it would be safe to ship it and all that kind of thing. So I got a Galactus and Sentinel box sitting around in my house, and those take up a lot of space and don't really do anything.
Have you learned this lesson by any harsh means?
Oh no, I haven't, gotten black mold on my box. If you are inquiring about that. Yeah.
No, the box is actually pretty huge for this, and it's funny because one of the recent figures I got was Holiday Prime, and Holiday Prime was, unfortunately for Lucas, packed in a much smaller than usual box.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad.
I like that you had that in reach.
That is a great example of, wow, they've managed to make packaging that's the size of the toy now. This is cool. And then Saber came and it was like, oh, well, this is enormous. It could have been a lot smaller. Oh, well.
The one thing I will say about the packaging is that the Victory Saber, it's got like the grid pattern, but it's like on the red cardboard. And this looks like every daycare had those like red brick cardboard things that you could make like a building out of. This looks like they use the exact same cardboard for those toys. I just pulled out my blast effects. I haven't gotten those out of the little
oh yeah, forget
yet.
about the blast effects. You get green ones this time.
I mean, they're fun looking. I like how the colors look with the rest of the, the primary color, Star Saber and Victory Leo look really good with the green blast effects. It pops.
They do.
Yep.
They do look nice. I'm still scared of blast effects, but the whole blast effects fusing to figures thing.
I leave them in a sandwich baggie with all the other blast effects so they can someday fuse into one big blast effect ball.
And achieve sentience and take over the planet.
The blast effect rat king you're making
It's a
in your
rolling
basement.
plastic explosion.
Nice and gross. Someone, I think it was Phil, you mentioned the paint was better on Fire, and the only figure in my entire set that I was a little bothered by the paint app is Fire, because my white on his chest, you can't see from me holding it up, but it doesn't completely cover his chest. There's red peeking through, and it doesn't look great, but like it really matters because it's freaking Fire, and
yeah.
I'm just gonna go hang out with a bunch of my other Micromasters and say, hey, I have more paint than you guys, and they'll be like, ours isn't done well, and then they'll feel sad. That's it. So earlier, Catherine mentioned that the Saber is so much better, and here he is, the little inner Saber, and I have him with the sword because if he holds it, it's a big sword. If Star Saber holds it, it's a little sword. So this way, it's a big sword. And he is really good. Like I was playing with Victory Saber and I was playing Star Saber. And I was like, maybe I don't like this so much. But the inner Saber is a really cool little toy. I don't know if I want to call him a deluxe because he's way too small to be a deluxe, but way too big to be a core. So he's kind of in the middle. But he is a good little toy.
How do you like the tiny little Brainmaster?
It's fun. I think it's enjoyable. It's a fun little addition.
Yeah, he is so tiny.
It does seem, not knowing Victory very well, it does seem like a guy with a huge armor fetish. Just keeps running the Transformers and wearing them.
I just like to take off Star Saber's head and just have Saber's head on the bottom. Like, oh, look at me! I got a little tiny head.
Yeah, I do the opposite.
Anna, can you do a size comparison between like a Cliff Jumper or that mold and the Saber?
I give you a size. Here's a size comparison right here for you.
There you go.
Oh, I'm Star Saber. I actually don't have a Cliff Jumper in reach.
I got one that might be good.
I usually do, yeah, since I have like 15 of that first mold. But
Cliff Jumper. Now here's Cliff Jumper with Leo.
Bear with me. Let me get Saber's legs transformed.
Yeah, I didn't have Saber out and handy.
His legs do something really similar to what we've seen before, but in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
In terms of the way they fold into the top half of the leg folds into the bottom half. So it's a trick, a transformation technique. Again, half the Combiner Wars toys had this technique, but Saber does it just a little bit different, and I don't know, it's kind of fun. It's fun to mix it up. I think one of my biggest gripes with this toy is Saber's jet mode. That's an area where I would say the MP toy does a better job of giving you a sleeker fighter jet than the Haslab does. So his arms don't fold in that well in the Saber jet mode, and they stick out a little bit. So here I've got Cosmos, Deluxe Cosmos, and Saber. Cosmos certainly has more plastic. He's a thicker guy, but in terms of height, he compares well to a mini bot Deluxe.
I think Saber's really good. Other than the hollow arms, I really didn't have a complaint about it. Like the fighter jet is not sleek, but it's fun. It's a cute little toy fighter jet. Oh, look at that, bigger than Goldbug.
My favorite feature about Saber that makes it feel like they kind of bothered and gave it the extra effort is that his head turns. And you don't think about that until you realize there's the equivalent of a Titan Master in there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it turned until just now. Holy cow, you're right.
Yeah, the whole Titan Master goes for a ride.
Oh, wow,
Turn his head.
Cool.
Well, and to be honest, I mean, that's even smaller than a Titan Master.
Oh,
it is, smaller.
Yeah.
So let me pause on that note, Catherine. That is one of the big things I will say in general about this toy. There is so much going on with this toy. Like, I had deer in the headlights moment when I first opened this toy, because I'm like, what mode do I put him in first? Like, there's so much you can do with this toy. Between the two toys that you're getting, the inner bots, they each have multiple modes, and it's just like, where do I even start? And then the instructions are just gargantuan in terms of how much they unfold.
They are.
It's a fun toy from its play value standpoint, but it is intimidating. I don't know. The only thing I can compare it to would maybe be like Six Shot. In terms of just like where do I begin? So it's not the worst thing in the world.
Because I was sitting on my couch earlier tonight thinking, how many modes do I have to put this thing in before I do the show tonight and allow myself to talk about it? Do I have to do every mode? Do I have to? So I did every vehicle mode, but I didn't do Victory Saber mode because I hate the idea of turning a Lion Man into boots. So I didn't do that, but I did everything else.
You don't like boots?
I don't like that. The whole idea.
Boots are
Victory. The whole idea of taking the decorated hero Genrai, resurrecting him, and then turning him into boots and a backpack is just really kind of gross. So,
and this is from someone who loves body horror.
I do, but I don't really like dehumanization. I'm very much against that. And Genrai's a person, and when he becomes Leo, he's still a person. So it's just weird for me. Not a huge fan of all the types of combining in the Unicron trilogy either. But
you're not a big fan of what from the Unicron trilogy?
All the wearing people as armor. So the several of the characters pretty much exist to become Prime's outfits. And it's not cool.
The homage of Star Saber, Wing Saber.
Right, exactly. He was the biggest culprit of it. It's like, no, he pretty much exists to be a super suit, which is a bummer, but it's been a part of Transformers since these guys. This was the time it happened first, and then it became relatively common to do things like that.
So did you turn
Catherine, I cut you off 2 hours ago.
Anna, did you turn Victory Saber into whatever that ship or whatever that the jet mode?
The really big jet?
Or I guess that's two. The Victory Saber jet mode where it's like both of them smushed together.
Yeah, give me just a minute.
Because that was the one
You just
mode
need to get
I
yours.
have not done yet. So I transformed Star Saber, but I have not put Victory Leo into his jet mode or combined them like in that mode.
I did all the
combined right now. Second.
I did do all the modes, but I got lucky that because it felt very easy just only because I just finished playing with and going through everything over a couple of weeks with Delta Magna. Mm-hmm. So with that whole, I mean, pretty much the same set, just more complicated.
I have not gotten the jet modes for either of the two bigger bots down yet, nor have I combined them. Honestly, this is like the first time I'm putting Victory Leo in his Leo mode.
They're not bad. If you like that Robotech, like docking to like front and back half, then it works for you.
Well, so I never had the KFC Victory Leo, but the Masterpiece Star Saber, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised almost of how close this is to that, as far as like a lot of the transformation is somewhat similar. It's like, you know, the same ballpark, you know, kind of thing. I mean, it does a lot of the same things that the Masterpiece does.
Does. I'm gonna put this together in horror mode. So.
But this whole thing has that nice feeling of all of your other Hasbro toys, so you feel like you can kind of play with it.
Right.
Whereas, you know, most of your third-party stuff, it's beautiful and fun, and we love it, but you don't really play with it with your other toys as much.
Right.
It's a little too good to play with the lesser toys.
The Masterpiece Star Saber, I mean, it felt more like a toy to me, just because, again, it was unpainted. And most of the Masterpiece figures, especially that one, are pretty hefty. So I never really felt too much like I was going to break it, but.
Yeah, those older Masterpiece toys, they all feel very stable.
And I'm just disappointed that I didn't hold on to my Masterpiece Star Saber long enough to sell it to you.
Yeah, because you've sold everything else to me. So might as well get that one in there too.
I will say I've been fortunate that I have not had any of the QC issues that some people have complained about with their Star Saber.
Me either.
One area that I could definitely see having issues with is on Victory Leo. There's this little black flap on his head that covers up the face in different modes. The little tab that hinges that has gotten damaged or destroyed on some folks' models, and I could see that happen. The only small QC issue I've had with this toy is you get two little stickers that go on Victory Leo's wings, and they're the crappy, cheap stickers that Hasbro's been giving us on Transformers that pretty much will tear from you getting them off of the sheet that they come on.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm actually going to put those on.
Yeah, I'm not applying those stickers.
I guess I did have one minor QC issue. Were any of you able to attach the? That's very nice looking, Anna.
Yeah.
Were any of you able to attach the shield on it in base mode?
Actually,
I have not done the base mode. No, I'm sorry.
I totally forgot there was a base mode.
Sorry.
No, this is what I had to do. I had to do the V-Star Jet thingy just to see how ridiculous it was with all of it put together.
I mean, that looks good.
Ish, yeah. For what it is, know, like it's close enough. I looked at pictures of the cartoon model. It is not like some people are saying it's spot on with the cartoon. It's not. It's a toy version of the cartoon, but it's still a good toy version of the cartoon. Like the Iron Trans one definitely looks a lot more like the cartoon in jet mode, but this still looks cool. And honestly, all the problems with it come from two places. One is that my fingers can come through here, and the other is that the jet in the front from the Saber part is not as sleek as it should be. In the cartoon, it kind of flowed seamlessly into the big body, and here, it's pretty much, you can tell there's a little jet up here, a big body, and then for some reason there's a cat man on the back.
A cat man with wings and
silly.
cannons.
Not unfun though. This is a fun, silly thing to do. Stacking everything together. It's covered in guns. It's a jet with too many wings. It's just goofy and enjoyable.
So do the jets, the two pieces, do they attach together pretty well? Like, is it all pretty solid where it doesn't seem like it's going to come apart?
It's really solid. The hardest part to me is getting Saber into Star body, is getting him plugged in here. Like, this doesn't plug in easily, but once it does plug in, I'm tugging on it. It doesn't come off. I'm tugging on Leo. He doesn't come off. It all sticks together. It definitely has both heads facing forward. So you got Star Saber's head, then Leo's head. And you've got weird head fetish jet thing. Shield on top. It's fun.
It is solid 80s anime.
It is
Yeah.
very solid. Like, it is just, it's not going to come apart on me. If I dropped it, the guns and stuff would probably fly off and the Saber head might fly away, or Star Saber head might fly away, but it's not bad.
And to be honest, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say Brain of Courage can go inside the cockpit and pilot, which is fun. Like, there's a spot for him to pilot himself.
The thing I was going to say is, outside of some of the QC issues that some people have had, but for the most part, like, this seems very solid. I was comparing it earlier to God Jinrai, and that figure was, like, that set was more expensive than this and was not executed as well. Like, the parts didn't, like, fit together and stay together as well, and was kind of a little bit of a QC mess. Whereas this is, all of it around is very solid, to where the ratchets and everything are so solid that I'm like, oh man, am I gonna, like, cause any issues with how solid these ratchets are?
So the detractors of this figure, including myself, have been comparing it to things we probably shouldn't be. And I think Lucas is actually making the right comparison. I think you should make the comparison to the God Genrai set. Like, that is the Genrai with the God Bomber from the big gift set. That is the comparison to make here. That is the other Japanese anime version Transformers from the old days that was made into a big gift set with the main character and his armor buddy. And that is worse than this. It is definitely worse than this, for sure. God Bomber is a treasure. Leo is also a treasure, so they can be friends. Maybe they can be friends, and Genrai and Saber can just go live in a trash can somewhere together. But they're not that bad. But they're definitely the stars of their sets. Like, I really love the God Bomber. And this Leo's pretty cool. He's a very solid toy.
Yeah, Lucas, that is a spot-on comparison. I hadn't even thought about that, because that toy is a bit older. Yeah, that thing, like, has the floppiness and, like, oh, don't touch it sort of level of, like, a fragile third-party toy, but not nearly the quality of an MP. I'm sorry, third-party toy. So yeah, that is good. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm sure other people have thought this, but it's like basically combining Voltron with Gundam, and yeah.
That's what I was thinking of when I was playing with Leo and transforming him. And so I was like, this is a little bit of like that satisfaction that I'm playing with Voltron while I'm playing with my Transformers.
Yeah. This is the Black Lion.
Yeah, as a Transformer.
Yeah.
I have found
Victory
Victory Leo to be my favorite figure of this set. He's wonderful.
He's pretty good.
One thing I will say too is like he's hefty. They're both like they're dense toys.
I would definitely trade his ability to split apart into shoes for waist articulation. Because he lost his waist articulation because he can split apart into shoes. But
they're fun. They're fun shoes.
And it's part of it. Anna. I get it. Oh, I totally get it. It's part of the thing. If it didn't split apart into shoes, then it wouldn't be the cartoon. Like he got hurt by it. He doesn't have his waist articulation like he should.
So the one thing too, like I will say about these shoes, the connector bits like are incredibly solid. Like this is not coming off. So there's a clip in the back that like clips up to the feet, and then also this like front part. So the tail of Victory Leo is this, and then they just like clip on. And so I mean that's the thing that I've been pretty impressed with the figure. I mean I guess that you could say that it doesn't have as much ankle articulation as what you might want, but
he's very satisfying to transform.
Yeah.
How do the shoes do in terms of ankle articulation?
Do
they not have it?
No, there's really nothing. Like you pretty much just get a little bit from, the Star Saber, but like the actual, whatever. There's toe articulation. That's about it. There is, as far as and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe that there's any ankle articulation with like the way that they.
I can buy that because like the Leo, his ankle articulation is literally just the toesies, which we don't see much these days, right? Like that was real popular, especially with third party about 6-7 years ago, and lately it's been like real solid ankle tilt, but now it's just toesies tilt on this guy, and it felt weird because it felt old. And it just felt like an old school choice to give him the toesy tilt instead of a real ankle tilt.
Yeah, he'll never be in that combined mode in my collection again.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that I'm putting this together for the show, and then I don't know that I'm actually going to display them combined. I think that I will probably display them as two separate figures. So.
That's
good on his own.
Leo deserves it. There's being displayed. So Ron said, next Haslab, Super God Ginrai in this style. I don't think so, but if it was, it would be a good use of a Haslab. If this was a good use of a Haslab, that's a good use of a Haslab, right?
To me, a Haslab should be something I haven't really gotten before, and we just got Ginrai pretty recently.
I never seen 40th anniversary was the focus of the next Haslab, right? So it really needs to be something that's an homage to the original series, not an homage to Super God Master Force or Victory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am curious what, they were hinting at that on the Desaurus, panel, and I'm curious what it's going to end up being.
A life-size Teletran 1.
But yeah, I don't know if we
want
want
Optimus Prime costume.
Do we want to go on to combine mode now, or at this point?
You guys can talk about it.
So this is combined mode. Barely fits in.
Okay, we've talked about it.
There we go. So it does the things. He's got little platform shoes.
About the combined mode, is that I always feel like when I just look at Saber, what he's lacking is wings. Just like his aesthetic is, I feel like he should have big wings on his back, and that gives him the wings.
But they're not big enough. The wings need to be bigger. And then he looks too disproportionate with the big giant shoes.
Oh, the shoes are not good.
Well, then you design your own third-party Gunpla add-on kit.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, there is already at least the one add-on kit that is being shown off where they fix Saber's underarms.
Yeah, so my two least favorite modes that I've gotten so far, I haven't gotten all the modes yet, is the combined mode that Lucas is showing, and then Saber's jet. You can see here where it's like, oh, here's his shoulders. You kind of tuck him in a little bit, and then you flip him on the underside, and it's like, oh, there's Saber's chest. It's just his knees are tucked in, and there's his chest, and it's a jet, sure. It's just like a little kid who's wearing like one of those like homemade transforming Halloween costumes where he just like tucks in his arms and his legs, and like the hat flips over to become his nose cone for the jet, and the wings come out the side. That's kind of how the Saber jet mode looks like.
It's like most jet toys.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I love me the aerial bots, and they are just robots wearing jet backpacks.
What it reminds me of is what we're getting right now, which is the Pretenders. We're getting the reconceptualized Pretenders as a single bot, and it feels like you've got one toy on this side, and you flip it over, and it's the other toy. Yeah. It just feels like a fancier version of those guys, which I don't mind because I'm really enjoying them. Because the way they transform is allowing me to have two things that look quite different. And, little Saber doesn't have a whole lot of red on him. This is an entirely red jet. So it's kind of cool to have that capability. So I like the little Saber, even though he is just a squatty man.
I like him a lot in robot mode. The jet mode, I'm left wanting.
So
do you guys?
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just gonna ask, do you guys think in a set this big with this many features, there's any chance that anyone would be happy with all of it?
Yeah, sure. There's some people.
I just feel like even for the designers, this is a you can't please everybody situation where it's like not every part of this is going to make them happy, so we have to do our best.
Yeah, not every part is great. The base mode is disappointing. I do love a good base mode.
I saw the pictures of the base mode. I didn't see the point in actually making it.
So,
I have to find something to do with this big extra torso because he's just a shell of a guy without Saber in it. And I kind of want to have Saber separately.
So my complaint, like one of the complaints I have with this set is I wish that it would have came with two swords. That's what the Masterpiece did with Star Saber. And so, like, why is it that I only have one length of sword when it could have multiples? Like, especially because the mechanism is similar where, this piece pops out or whatever. So I'm sure there's going to be add-on kits that, will give you a sword with that. So that's like, one of my complaints. I think the other thing, and we haven't actually talked about it yet, about the shoulder articulation Star Saber, but I do think that like that's one thing that the Masterpiece toy, like for the most part, this has very similar articulation with the shoulders, but there's one extra point of articulation, like a butterfly up and down with the shoulder on the Masterpiece that this does not have. And I think that they could have put that in potentially, and I think it would have been, a little bit better because he doesn't really have so he has good articulation in and out, with the shoulders, although it is on a strong ratchet joint, but he doesn't have that like up up and down. Like the only articulation is like essentially this right here.
So this bums me out, right? Like this range of motion on the shoulder is just such a bummer because I really do like to pose my toys dynamically. And one of the first things I do is get their shoulders going when I want to pose them. It's like shoulders and ankle tilt are two of the most important things to me getting to pose my toys. And I don't like it when the shoulder joint mingles the arm and makes it look weird. And this is a spot where it is. And this is a me thing, right? Like this is my pet peeve. Most people are going to be like, whatever, it's a shoulder. It's perfect. I love it. I want to lick it.
You're not wrong. It's
but
pretty...
the shoulders are, and my biggest problem with it, like this isn't a like, this isn't a small figure where it's like they were struggling for parts count and had to be like, okay, we're just going to skip the shoulder joint. This is a big, widely promoted Haslab, and there's nothing else going on in this piece, right? It's not like, for sake of transformation, we had to put the shoulder a little lower. No, this piece is just a solid, hollow piece of toy. They could have added more joints to make the shoulders better.
Yeah, right.
Well,
and because of this, he can't do a lot of his cool poses that he would do in the cartoon, which were impossible. Like there were parts of the character that were clipping with each other to do those poses, but he can't do those poses, and that's a bummer. It's a bit of a loss.
well, as I said, like, so these joints here, like you can ratchet it so that, he can pretty much bring the hands together. But again, like it doesn't move up and down. It's like, you know, so again, if they put that extra joint in, this is essentially the masterpiece toy. You know what I mean? Like it's not and whatever, and I'm sure Rob would yell at me for saying that, but it pretty much has almost everything that the masterpiece does if you put that extra joint in.
We'll just call him a mini masterpiece then.
That's fair.
But I mean, the masterpiece toy is old, right? Like it's okay for there to be an update that does a lot of the same things the masterpiece does when it's this many years later.
And this does have a little bit of an ab crunch, which is neat.
I do like the hands. They use those Jetfire hands.
Yeah, I love that mechanism where when you close the hand, it puts the little like hole or whatever, so it makes it so much easier for holding stuff.
I was afraid I wouldn't like the hands, and they're okay. They're too small. Like the hand is disproportionately small, but it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. Like I thought I would look at it and be like, "Oh, gross! Hands are too small." But no, they're just small. They're not like bad small.
Lucas, your point about the sword, I agree with, and then like the gun feels like the little laser rifle is too big for Saber, but too small for Star Saber.
Yeah.
I think, like if I had to vote on it, like Fire or Holly or an extra set of weapons that were better proportioned to the two different modes, I would have preferred the different weapons, the additional weapons versus the Micromasters.
Because then I could get Studio Series Holly, I'd be happy with them.
Yeah.
Well, still nice to have this Psycho Paladin in my collection.
Well, yeah, I mean, like again, I feel like a lot of these are nitpicks for me. I mean, overall, I'm very happy with it. I'm very impressed. I personally think this is more impressive than the masterpiece, and the reason for me that it is well, one, it comes with the combined figures and all the pieces and guns and all that kind of thing, but just the paintwork that the masterpiece doesn't have. And like again, that's something that bothered me from like when a first came out. So for me, I have not handled the what Anna, what'd you say the new third party Star Saber is?
But well, there's Iron Trans. It's not
Iron
really
Trans.
new. It's been around for a few years, but I'd say it's currently the G1 style Star Saber.
So I haven't handled that one, but I between the Planet X one and the masterpiece and this, I would pick this over it.
This is fun. Like, I'm not going to say this isn't fun, and I'm not going to be one of those people who's going all over the boards and be like, Hasbro ripped us off, blah, blah, blah. No, Hasbro delivered exactly what they showed us pictures of. This is exactly it, and it is fine. It has flaws. It's not perfect. It is a way for me to have all of it, you know, to have Leo in addition to having Star Saber without spending, you know, the price of, because like, okay, that extra in spot Stephsaurus that's going to be like very accurate and nice is like, I think it's pushing 300. It's like somewhere between 2 and 3. It's a lot of money. So in order for me to get a Star Saber that is that good and a Leo that is that good, I'm going to probably spend another $300 to $400 to get those two. And Leo has never been, he's not a big character. He's only at the very end of the show, and he's mostly just, you know, the MacGuffin at the end of the series to help them win. And I'm okay with getting him this way without having to buy an expensive separate figure. So this is a way to get it all. Now, will I keep it forever? I don't know. Like, if there's a way for me to get a hold of the Iron Trans figure and then the MNC Deathsaurus and a new Leo comes out and this thing appreciates a little bit, I might switch it out. I don't know. But it's good for what it is. And for those of you who really want to have everything Generations, especially for Lucas and Christian and folks like them that want everything Generations and want it to go together, this is the way to let those guys have Star Saber and Victory Leo that don't actually look like the rest of G1 to hang out with it, which is a cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you just care about Star Saber for whatever reason, you know, you might just get the masterpiece instead of this. However, if you want the whole set, you want it to be able to do all the things, you know, and you don't have to worry about tracking down the KFC figure, I think that this is the better route to go personally.
Yeah.
So, but like again, I think that this is a really cool figure. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing as that, you know, when Jetfire came out, the Commander class compared to the Fans Toys one. And the Fans Toys is a beautiful figure, but it's like that Jetfire is so fun to play with. And, you know, this is kind of the same thing too, where it's just, you just want to pick it up and start messing with it.
Jetfire's really good, and this is good. Catherine, since you have kitty pants right beside you, how split is the crotch on your kitty pants?
Not as split as yours.
Okay, so I do have a bit of a QC issue then. Yeah, yours is not as severe. Mine is severe enough that it really bugs me. Not from a like figure fitting together perspective, but because that's where his Autobot symbol is. And it's like he's got some like Unicron Trilogy Wheeljack things going, where it's like it's flash through. He's an X Autobot. So yeah, that kind of bugs.
Now I'll have to put my kitty pants back together.
You will, to see how split that is.
Because it did not seem split at first.
That does bug me. Once I draw attention to things, I ruin them for everyone. That's my job.
Mine is not split per se, but yeah, it's a very fat-faced Autobot symbol there.
Yeah, yours isn't as split as mine either. Mine is severely split. Ooh.
Well, this character does make an appearance in the second run of IDW's comics. Briefly, but he does. I think it was in the Ultra Magnus arc.
That's cool.
Wait, Victory Leo does?
Uh-huh.
Oh, in the second run. Okay. Okay, gotcha.
And you get to see him without Star Saber. Gets to be his own boy for a few issues.
To be honest, like when I see the IDW version of Saber and of Deathsaurus and everybody, I just do not care about those versions of the character. I like the original versions of the characters and the new characters. Like all the new characters that were out in IDW are pretty cool. and I want to have like toys of them, but I really don't want my Saber repurposed as an utterly different person type of stuff. Nah, I just want the victory version.
They did make him pretty vile.
It's just an utterly different character. They could have been another new character, but that's not how we do things in Transformers.
No, they needed to use a character to sell a toy that they never made.
Yep. Oh, okay. Conspiracy theory time. This is for funsies. Because this came up in the chat earlier today in Discord. And okay, so Star Saber, back in the 1800s when we were getting ready for Power of the Primes, and we were doing a fan vote for the new Prime, and we all voted for Optimus Primal, and then we got the Evolution version, Optimus Primal, whatever thingy. I didn't vote for him. I voted for Deathsaurus because I was like, ooh, Deathsaurus, ooh. But anywho, so on that fan vote, a few figures that were really like set up for the whole evolution thing. You know, one of them was in fact Primal. He was very set up for the evolution thing. Magnus is very set up for the evolution thing. So was Star Saber, right? So could there be a possibility that the old plans and blueprints and CAD sheets made a reappearance, and that's why certain parts of this figure feel a little outdated, like the shoulders and the ankle tilt? That's just my crazy theory. It was fun to talk about today. It's probably utterly bonkers, but it was fun.
I like bonkers. Let's run with it.
Because if you saw these shoulders on one of those Power of the Prime's Evolution figures, you would have been like, yeah, that's what I'm getting. This is the combine mode. Good enough. If you would have saw these ankles back then, these ankles are very limited and kind of hard to move. So you would have been like, wow, ankle tilt. That's cool.
Right.
Back in Power of the Primes. I don't know. It was just a fun conspiracy theory. A little crazy, but probably not actually that crazy at all.
I think they updated this significantly, but you're probably not wrong.
I mean, there's definitely a flavor of premium finish on this, right? Like the new premium finish figures. If they did take the CAD files from back then and make it bigger and make it better, they definitely spent the time to make this look nice as compared to toys from back then. But the fact they didn't fix the shoulder joints, that is what got me kind of on this crazy little adventure. And the fact that it feels just like one of those evolution figures where it's like all Power Master Prime looking, stick the guy in it. I know that's how Star Saber is anyway, but I don't know. I just started going crazy with it, thinking about that. But I think I needed an explanation for the shoulders. So that's going to be my explanation.
That's your explanation.
For why I got bad shoulders. I'm just going to blame. And like in my career, I don't throw away anything. Like if we've done half a project or we've come up with something or we've made like part of a survey or a manipulation, I save it and bring it back when we need it later and we reuse the old parts. So I'm very into saving any work we did. And somebody probably did design a Star Saber figure in case he won the fan vote. So I see no problem with bringing that design back. I just want better shoulders. Rant done. Conspiracy over.
So, do we all recommend him then?
No, I would never recommend this because I know how much it's going for right now.
Well, so here's how I would frame that.
How much is it going for
question.
now?
$350.
Yeah, $350 to $400. But here's the like. Do you guys think his Unicron is currently in the 3 to 4x range of his price?
Went up to 3?
Well, I don't know. Who just sold
times?
a Unicron could probably tell us fair market value of that figure, right?
It's going for about 4 times what it originally cost from the Haslab.
Because it was $600, right? The Haslab.
Okay, yeah. So it's between 3, yeah.
Between 3 and 4 times what it originally cost.
Yes.
Do you guys think Star Saber will appreciate like that?
I don't
Not
think
asking
so.
for anyone in particular than me.
I don't think so, from the simple fact that Haslabs have, in general, stalled in their aftermarket value. You saw it a lot with the Marvel Legends Sentinel and Galactus, where people saw what Unicron and the Jabba barge started going for in the secondary market, and we're like, whoa, wait a second, I might not want this, but other people will, so I'm going to pick up one or two or three to have ones to flip. And so, because I think there's a little bit more of a glut of purchasing these, I don't think you'll see the price go up as high of a multiplier as we've seen with Unicron.
And there are third-party alternatives.
Yeah.
For those who just want the character.
Whereas
for Unicron, there's really there isn't a comparable at that size. I mean, he's almost he's got trophy. He has trophy status to boot.
And in my mind, it's an exclusive. They're not making more of them. I think the only thing that could keep the value lower is the fact that it is from Victory and not from the original G1. So I could see some people drawing a hard line and saying, I don't need, Victory in my collection. But I do think that a lot of these figures, especially like these kind of ones where we're probably not going to see another one of these, that like this is going to be the only one. And I think it's going to skyrocket up in value the same way that green lights and those kind of figures kind of. And when I say skyrocket, I mean it's going to definitely probably be 2 or 3 times what what we paid for it on the secondary market.
You do make a good point on green light, because green light is a $200 deluxe now, and that is crazy, right? And 2 of the Seacons sell for $200 to $300 right now. It's really wild to think that those things appreciated like that at random, pretty much. But they were harder to get, and this is limited. There are only so many of this. Though I would argue that 25,000-ish of the figure existing is not that limited. It's limited, but it's not that small of a pool.
Right. So, I mean, I think, now, or there may be, if you're going to get it, I would say probably like in the next couple months or whatever, like is probably your best shot on it, comparative to if you wait 5 years, like it's going to be worth a lot more, I think.
I think it stabilizes at 400 in the long term and doesn't really ever pass it.
I can see that.
Right.
I'm in the same boat with Catherine on that, but Lucas, you'll be happy to know that Paul and you are on the same page, and Paul says I'm wrong and you're right.
After
I know
5 years,
there's a risk of setting on this.
After 5 years, it might do different. I don't know about that.
Again, we still might have part of me thinks there's a little bit of a bubble in the toy pricing, in general. So,
Yeah, I just think that there's going to be people getting into. I mean, this is the whole thing with all of these generation figures, and part of the reason why they do go up in value is you have the people that just started collecting last year and are trying to go back a couple years to get some of the figures that they missed, and then they're willing to pay extra for those extra figures to have a quote unquote complete collection.
I have to say, every time I interact with one of those people, I'm just like, what? Just got into Transformers? No, that's not the way it is. You need to have been collecting this for the last 35 years. How do you mean you just got into this?
Right.
You got into this 2 years ago? Oh, you didn't even just get into it like 15 years ago when the first movie came out? That's my rant.
I will say, though, man, if you got into Transformers from Combiner Wars on, I mean, what a time, I mean, gosh, how many figures we've gotten? It's just crazy.
Like, look at this. We have a freaking Galaxy Shuttle toy that comes out like literally within days of Star Saber. This is absurd. This is absurd in terms of the character selection that we're getting. in the toys that we're getting. And I get that they're not all perfect. I get that they have some imperfections. This does not look exactly like Galaxy Shuttle, but by God, like we were waiting for decades to get like a good screen accurate hot rod. And yeah, you know, we're pretty darn fortunate.
We are. I agree with that. Like we're getting crazy stuff now, and it's cool.
Yeah. I will say on the idea of like, should you get it or not? The way I'll frame this is that if you have this toy ordered and you got it and you're not sure if you want to keep it, if you don't need the money, you know, if you're saying like, well, shoot, I can sell it for $350, that could buy me some Christmas presents or pay my mortgage, then yeah, sell it, make your cash, be happy. But if you're on the fence of like, will I enjoy this toy or not? Should I open it because of will I enjoy it or not? I would highly recommend opening it. It is a very fun toy. The fact that this is Generations type toy, again, it has that ability that you feel like you can pick it up and play with it. You know, I don't mind, you know, at first I was not sure about letting my kids handle it because of the price tag. And now I'm like, yeah, no, maybe not my 2-year-old, but my 8-year-old can mess around with this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like, I don't know. I'd have a hard time. Like, if I had not backed this originally and, you know, I had to buy it on a secondary market, I probably would, you know, get a little bit of pause with it. But, you know, I don't know. Overall, like, I mean, it's great. And, like, I would highly recommend it if you could somehow get it for the original price that you know, what we got it at.
And
yeah, you're definitely not going to get it for that price, but if you could, go for it.
Right.
And I felt differently about Unicron. I bought Unicron, I was on the fence with it, and I saw the people doing the reviews, and just like, I don't have anywhere to put that toy. That's not the scenario with this figure.
Well, and that's one thing about Unicron. So mine's been sitting in a box now for a while, and I transformed it once. I'm probably never transforming it again. I think it looks really cool, but like I don't mess with it. And like this, you know, if I were to pick, you know, one or the other, I mean, this is a lot cooler figure, I think, than the Unicron figure. Glad I had the Unicron, but
The Unicron toy is like a centerpiece of a collection.
It is.
I do try to transform mine every few months.
look at you.
Is it like a car where you need to run the engine every couple weeks in case it, you know, it just needs that tune up?
Well, I like to make sure that, you know, things don't stay too stagnant in that room.
So, all right. So Desaurus, Anna, have we convinced you? Are you going to try to back that too, or are you sticking with your AMC? Considering that it sounds like you could probably now, you know, obviously you pay for it now and then have to wait a year and a half to get it, but it seems like you about double your money if you decide you want to get rid of it at a year and a half down the road.
There's probably not a whole lot of risk, and that's the thing I've actually talked to Catherine about several times since the Haslab went up. And it's, you know, you buy that. If I get the MMC, I'm probably uniformly going to lose a little bit of money on it when I sell it. You know, it's probably not going to, unless it stops being produced and stops being able to get, then it will appreciate by like 10 or 20%. But MMC figures don't typically go crazy until they're hard to get. So, you know, it's not a huge risk to buy that one either, but I think the Haslab is almost zero risk as far as, you know, would I be able to sell it in the future? I probably could. I'll probably go ahead and back it. I still haven't entirely made the decision. I like to make the decision 5 seconds before it has to be made.
Well, you're getting close to that.
I was going to say, what are we, 40 minutes away?
Mm-hmm. We're just a hair shy of 25,000 backers.
We're doing a New Year's countdown with.
Well, if you do back it, you get to back it knowing we get the chair.
Right. I don't have to worry about the chair. The chair is there.
I would have pulled out without that chair.
And I really appreciate that about you, Catherine.
I would have been severely disappointed had we not gotten the chair.
I would have been severely disappointed if we not gotten the chair if they would have made it purple. If they would have made it brown so it actually looks like rocks like the cartoon. But that purple chair is weird.
You're in the same camp as Christian. It's like, what the hell is that chair?
What did they do to it? Because when it was just a gray prototype, I was like, oh, it's his chair. They're going to make it brown because it's made of rocks. And it's like, nah, we made it purple because it's made of guts.
I can't believe this figure, the Desaurus, that, you know, we're talking about like, oh, is it going to be we didn't think it was going to hit the 17,000, right? Like up until whatever. I mean, it's going to go over 25,000. Like this is like crazy.
It's not surprising at all. Pretty much everybody that bought Star Saber is buying one.
Right.
I honestly
Plus,
always
everybody
thought it was
else is
fun.
also getting that fear of missing out for those that didn't get Star Saber.
Yeah.
Lucas, I
did
agree with
always
you.
think it was
There
fun.
was times where I was worried that if it even would get funded. It stalled. It stalled like around like 8,000 or so. What was the original amount that it had hit? 9,000?
I don't recall.
Yeah, whatever the original goal was,
It was 11.
Okay, 11,000. It stalled around like 8,000-9,000 for several weeks, and then it wasn't until you started getting the surge of the foreign orders that like all of a sudden you started to see the pops in it, and like, okay, yeah, this is going to happen now. But yeah, the fact that we're doing 25,000, you know, probably on this toy is I mean, it's cool. Again, it says to Hasbro like there's a demand for this. People want these characters. They want these designs. So bring them on.
Well, I'm just saying that it hit 17,000. What was it, yesterday or the day before?
It was yesterday when it got chair.
I think it was
Chair
yesterday,
was achieved
right?
yesterday.
So yeah, it hit 17,000 yesterday, and now we're 8,000 more. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I know obviously the very end of these things are always, you know, like you get all the people again, like Anna or whatever, that wait till the last minute, or you may have some people where they're like, oh, I only want it if it's the chair, and you know, so.
Well, there was a big part of me that
Ghost Rider.
Right.
there was a big part of me that wanted to see this be good in hand before I bought his friend, Enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Before I had both of them, I did really want to see this. So I'm glad they barely got it to us before Deathsaurus ended. And not everyone, right? Christian's still waiting on his. I'm sure hundreds of other backers are still waiting on theirs as well. Those people don't get the comfort of knowing the Star Saber was good unless they trust us, which
Yeah.
What have we done to earn that trust?
No, we're on the internet. Everything here is real.
Yes.
it's true. We only speak the truth.
Yes.
So
I live in a very clean and orderly basement with all my toys well set on display stands.
Oh. Yeah, I finally got him back in Star Saber mode. I've been playing with them for a while, and shoulders are back. They're just back. They're staring at me like, Anna, we're wrong. It's like, oh. What sucks though is if someone wants to do a shoulder upgrade kit for this, because I'm like on this fence where I'm thinking like I could sell it. I wouldn't buy the shoulder upgrade kit because you would definitely have to take the shoulders apart with screws and everything, and that's always a good way to strip a screw and damage a figure. And yeah, I probably wouldn't get the upgrade kit for it, even though it would fix my only problem with it. Y'all better. I hated the big neck. I still don't like the size of his neck, but now that I've played with him enough and I appreciate the inner saber and the fact the inner saber's head barely fits in that neck hole, I'm okay with it now. Like, I wasn't okay with it, but now it's like, okay, it has to be there for transformation. It's a big old neck, but it's not the worst thing in the world. The shoulders, on the other hand, are the worst thing in the world.
I like your scientific term of neck hole.
Star sucks, but Victory Leo and Saber are awesome. So half the set's really great. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Well, have we actually talked about the huge honking gun too?
Oh, we haven't. No.
Yep, it's a big gun.
Big gun.
It does feel a little on the cheap side.
Ha! I just called it decent, and then Phil was like, "It's cheap."
I said a little on the cheap side. I didn't say it was cheap. It feels somewhat like an afterthought. I'm glad they gave it some ways for the different parts to fold up so it can interact with the different molds well. Yeah, it feels, again, a little bit of an afterthought.
I'm going to go against you a little bit just because all of our Transformers guns look like this. They're one color with ports on them and no details other than details, right? There's never paint or cool things on it, and this has just a little bit of red on it. It seems so much more interesting than all the other guns in my collection.
Well, and this has like, little parts, like, these parts move. I don't know. I mean, this feels very solid to me.
It's huge.
Yeah, and it's huge.
It's big enough you can put it in Saber's hand without it feeling like he's holding a little pistol. Or Star Saber's hand, not Saber. Saber would be
Victory Saber.
He would need a support. Regular Saber would be sad to carry something this big.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool, personally.
You changed my mind. It is pretty cool.
Did you get Serpentor, Phil?
Oh yeah, I did.
So Serpentor, the side guns on the chariot, right?
Uh-huh.
Those side guns are weapons that I am very disappointed in because those side guns feel weird and cheap plastic. Very strange. By a Serpentor. It is. It's huge. It's huge. It's very nice looking, but those side guns are weird. They're made in a different plastic.
They are, and I know what you're saying, but like, I don't really care because I'm going to leave them on. One of the complaints I have heard about the side guns is like, these are the guns that should have come with Roadblock, and you can put them on and use them on Roadblock, but then you don't have them on Serpentor's airship, or you just have one, and then it's weird. So, yeah. Yeah, and my Serpentor just bit it because I have him not actually holding on to the handle as he's flying around. Serpentor. He's okay. Someone pointed out, a reviewer did point out that like they can't get over the fact on Serpentor's face that the cobra fangs are like right in his eyes. He's like every time he's gonna look around, he's gotta like look around the the cobra eyes.
It's like people who do the hairstyles over their eye.
Yes.
Like they tell me that it doesn't impede vision, and it's like it impedes vision.
I don't believe you.
I brushed my hair over my eyes before. It makes me go get a haircut.
We have received some awesome toys in 2022.
We have
Galactus or Star Saber or Serpentor or Mojo. Like the toys that we received this year are just like, wow.
Yeah, I can tell you this wouldn't be my toy of the year, but I don't know what is. I would really have to think about it for a minute to figure out what my toy of the year was, just because there have been so many good toys.
I don't know.
Almost like a future topic.
Right?
Almost like a topic we do every year around New Year's.
Yeah.
But this year we actually have other things to talk about. It's kind of weird. Like we do that because it's somewhat like we want to talk about it, but it's also a little bit of a space filler. And this year it's just like, well, we can talk about the new Urkel bot that we're getting.
Well, and we didn't even mention at all about the new video game that's coming out, the first person shooter, like, or there was a ton of drops. The new movie, Rise of the Beast or whatever toys are, leaking out And
That's
and
what
talk
Phil
about
is
that.
referring to as Urkelbot because of the
Yeah,
glasses.
Urkelbot. Okay, yeah.
People are pointing out that he has glasses and maybe suspenders, and they're saying he looks like Steve Urkel. Which really what that tells you about them is that they're old. That's what it tells you about those people.
Yeah.
What it says is that, I had glasses just like that at that time frame, and I did look ridiculous. But you know who's a toy that comes with glasses who doesn't look ridiculous? Sergeant Slaughter.
The only thing I wanted from that Sergeant Slaughter toy was the little Sergeant Slaughter.
But he came with his own action figure himself.
Yeah. I just have this weird moment with Sergeant Slaughter where I don't want to support him as a G.I. Joe toy because it was such a cross-promotional money-making plan back then. But it's fruitless, right? Like I pump so much money into Hasbro and all these companies.
Are you saying that these companies are just in it for the money?
No.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I just don't know.
So.
It's all about the.
Well, I guess, do we have any other final thoughts before we wrap up here?
Let's see. I talked about conspiracy theories, shoulders, Max, kitty pants, Polly.
It's Star Saber. If you don't like Star Saber, then you probably won't like this toy. What in God's name is that, Catherine?
What is that?
That's Thorilla from Kang Toys.
Oh my God.
That looks really pretty.
That is badass.
Yeah, this is the latest Predacon.
Kang Toys.
Crap. Like, I don't want to drop $1,200 on a combiner, so I think I'd pass, but holy cow,
And he's about the same size as Saber.
At first, I thought that was like an umbrella he was holding.
Yeah, it's a big old hammer.
Yeah, no, I can see that now.
Only one Predacon left. And they'll finally get to form. Huh?
Which one?
Huge Rhino.
Okay.
That is going to be a crazy combiner.
I will probably put it together once. And then never again, and just take it back. They'll forever live as components.
Oh, you'll take it apart then. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have space for a combiner that big unless I'm putting Unicron away.
And they're all really good in separate mode. Like their separate modes are just really impressive. A lot of combiners, like the individual guys, it's like, okay, I'm losing a mediocre figure to make this combiner. That one you're losing 8 really solid fun figures. I haven't even seen you play with the little foot people because Thorilla came with another foot person, right?
Yes, Rue Sirius. And the lion comes with Death Sirius, 2 feet. Those are both really good too. They're solid. They're about Voyager scale-ish. They're pretty simple to transform, and they're very sturdy, which you kind of want in what's going to be feet.
Baby Cub shoes. They should hang out with Leo.
Hey guys,
they can form a pack together.
Like a weird robot shoe fetish convention.
No, I was thinking a support group. We've been turned into shoes by our coworkers.
Ambulon, I think it's your turn to speak.
Ambulon gets to come too, absolutely.
Hey guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but Peter likes robots.
Did not know that. That is an important update.
Yeah.
Those are his final thoughts for the night.
Oh, it's his final thought.
That was his final thought. He likes robots. So.
I shared all my thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts, but I shared them all. I even get to talk about Holly.
Yeah.
Oh, no. One more final thought. Someone make me a 2-pack of Jan and so on so I can have both their sons.
No.
Yes. I want to have Star Saber and Divsaurus with their sons and competing over which one's better. Like 2 angry sports dads. That is the perfect form of these guys. Okay, now I'm good.
Like Peter said last week, he's Emperor Dad.
It's perfect. I would love
Emperor
that so
Dad
much.
has his recliner.
Yep.
I look forward to seeing how he looks with Cliff Jumper.
Well, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Zaldron, Ron. Thanks to Dan, Daniel. Thanks to Peter. And then book club this week is going to be Unicron 2 and 3. So
we are approaching the end.
There you go.
Like and subscribe.
There you go. All right. See you guys next week.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for